I knew all my life that I was adopted. It became clear early on that I was not like anyone else in my adoptive family. They were wonderful, hardworking, humble, modest, quiet New Englanders. And I was convinced I was going to be the next Shirley Temple. And until I was an adult, I really had no interest in finding out who my birth parents were because I was very content. When I took the 23andMe test, I was connected with a biological third cousin, Susan. She was a devout armchair genealogist. She loved finding people's birth family, and she loved finding mine. She called me. She said, I found your father. I said, you did? Is he someone famous? And she kind of chuckled and she said, yes, but I'll let you find out for yourself. So I Googled the name William Bradford Bishop. What I found was an FBI wanted poster and a man who looked a lot like me. William Bradford Bishop has been accused of murdering his wife, his mother, who would be my grandmother, and his 3 sons, who were at the time 5, 8, and 12. Then my father fled to the Smoky Mountains. The FBI has been looking for him ever since, so he has not been found.
Wow. Joining us from Carolina Shores, North Carolina, please welcome Kathy Gillcrist. Kathy, your reaction to when your relative called and said, I found your father, you're like, is he famous? Because I think a lot of people would assume, like, okay, you're going to tell me something really cool, that he created some. He wasn't famous, though. He was infamous. Were you speechless as I am right now? And it didn't even happen to me.
You know, actually, to the credit of my adoptive parents, I've always had this strange, crazy sense of humor. And because I was expecting to find, a famous person, actually, my reaction was to laugh. And I don't want to, say there's anything funny about the heinous crime that he committed. But,
yeah,
there's a lot of irony to the story.
I think people understand. You're not laughing at what happened. It's just like the what are the odds part of life. Like,
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? I go down this road and this is where it leads me.
Exactly.
Timeline-wise, well, the irony of the timeline also it's fascinating. At the same time that he was committing his crime, you'd just been crowned Miss Stoughton 1976. So when you again look at where you were in your life and where your biological father was in his life, that's also remarkable.
That's pretty much the ultimate irony right there.
The FBI, they've been looking for him, 45 years. He's never been found.
Years.
What do you think happened to 45 years? What do you think happened to him?
Well, interestingly enough, I have talked to, there are lots of people in the country who still know more about my father than I do. I think that he fled the country. He had the ability, he had the cognitive skills, he had the language skills, he had lived in Europe before, and according to all the research, he was very happy there. So I believe that's where he is.
Kathy, your father, by the count that I was given, would be about 83 years old. No one knows what happened to him. You believe he's still alive. Do you want to talk to him? Would you want any contact with him at this point?
Actually, due to his the seriousness of his crime, I really wouldn't want to encounter him. That's for certain. But it's a mystery, and actually, there's lots of things that are still unfolding about this story. I've recently been in contact with some of his family members, which had never happened before. They are thrilled because, as they say, this is the light in, that has emerged from a very, very dark time in their lives. I had no idea
Wow.
that any of these people existed until just the other day. So they would love to see the secrets solved. They've
Mm.
wondered about this forever. They're thrilled to know. That I exist, which is a really compassionate way for them to react.
You discovered you have half siblings. Explain to me. So you have half siblings. She had no idea. Her mother had other children, and you're
Yes,
through
yes.
all of this. How many siblings did you discover?
I discovered six siblings, yes, and I really commend them for embracing me. This was a secret that my birth mother kept for 60 years. Uh,
Mm.
she had three children who were all
Wow.
placed for adoption. And none of my half siblings knew anything about it.
So if you had to do it again and go back on that site, because on one hand you found this horrifying thing about your biological father, but on the
Mhm.
other hand, you learned that you had siblings. Would you do it all again? Go on that site and start exploring? Any regrets?
I would, because as a result of, um, my life is so much fuller now, and I'm so
Mm.
grateful for the half siblings that I found, particularly um, the one closest to my age. That was such a
Wow.
traumatic discovery for her. I asked my own daughters, "How would you feel if you found out I had this other?" I'd had other children, and I never told you about that. That's a lot to unpack, and it
Right.
was traumatic. But you know what? They all rallied around me, and we met,
Mm.
and we talked. And when I wrote the book about the experience, they gave me their blessing. They were happy about it. Kind of made me
Wow.
nervous because I don't want to drag them into a mess. They didn't ask to find me. I found
Right.
them, and they've just been wonderful about it. So that just tells you a whole lot
What a
about
story.
human nature.